There's a child, perhaps one you know all too well, who desperately wants to feel safe. They long for a love that's steady and grounding. But the love they receive feels unpredictable. Sometimes it's overflowing. Other times it's withheld. So this child learns very quickly that attention and affection are never guaranteed. They cling tighter. They cry a little louder. They hold on a little longer because deep down they're terrified of being left behind. And as that child grows up, the pattern doesn't disappear. It transforms. That desperate cry for love becomes a racing mind, a restless heart, a constant, quiet fear that the people we care about might one day walk away. This is the core of the anxious attachment style, and it's far more common than most realize. Psychologists have long studied how our earliest bonds shape the way we connect as adults. Attachment theory, first developed by James Robertson and later expanded by others, tells us that the relationships we form in our first years act as a blueprint. They set the template for how we love, how we trust, and how we experience closeness. For someone with an anxious attachment style, love has always felt a little fragile. It's as if affection is a flame that might go out at any moment, so you hover close, terrified of losing its warmth. If you've ever found yourself overthinking a text message, feeling unsettled when someone doesn't reply right away, or fearing your partner doesn't love you as much as you love them, you've tasted this cycle. And listen, this is not weakness. It is not a flaw. It is a learned survival strategy, one that made perfect sense in a child's world where love was inconsistent. But in adulthood, that same strategy becomes exhausting. You are no longer a child waiting for a parent's reassurance, but your nervous system has not forgotten those early lessons. The anxious attachment style is not rare. Studies suggest nearly 1 in 5 adults exhibit these tendencies in relationships. That means millions of people carry this invisible weight, constantly torn between a deep longing for closeness and a fear of abandonment. And the paradox is painful. On one hand, those with anxious attachment often crave intimacy more deeply than anyone. They want to merge, to feel safe, to be loved without question. But on the other hand, that very craving can overwhelm relationships. The fear of being left can cause the anxious mind to interpret small silences as rejection, minor conflicts as catastrophe, and a little distance as desertion. To truly understand it, you have to see how it develops. Children are wired to seek safety and comfort from caregivers. When caregivers respond consistently, a secure base is formed. But when responses are unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes withdrawn, the child learns uncertainty. They discover that love must be earned, fought for, vigilantly protected. The nervous system becomes finely tuned to every subtle shift in mood, every sign of potential disconnection. This hypervigilance is adaptive for the child. It helps them hold on to love in an uncertain world. But in adulthood, it becomes a constant source of anxiety. This isn't about being dramatic or needy, though that's often the unfair label. It's about a body and mind trained since the earliest moments of life to never fully trust that love will stay. Imagine living with a constant background noise of what if they leave. It's like a song that never ends. Sometimes loud, sometimes soft, but always there, shaping every interaction. This doesn't just show up in romance. It can appear in friendships, workplace dynamics, even in how we relate to mentors. The anxiously attached individual often fears disappointing others, fears conflict, and overextends themselves in the hope of maintaining connection. They may struggle to say no, not from a lack of boundaries, but because saying no feels dangerously close to rejection. Every action is subtly tilted toward avoiding abandonment. But here is the crucial point. The anxious attachment style is not destiny. It is not permanent. Our brains and nervous systems are remarkably capable of change, a concept called neuroplasticity, with awareness, practice, and healing experiences. Someone who grew up anxiously attached can gradually move towards secure attachment. But the first step is always awareness. Let's pause. Do you notice in yourself a constant need for reassurance? Do you catch yourself spiraling when someone doesn't respond quickly? Do you feel your stomach drop when plans are uncertain, or when someone you love seems distant? If so, that is not proof you are broken. It is proof your attachment system is active, sensitive, and deeply concerned with survival. It's trying, in its own way, to protect you from the pain of loss. And yet, the irony is profound. The very strategies that once protected you often create the outcomes you fear most. The more you cling, the more partners may feel overwhelmed. The more you seek constant validation, the more distant others might become. And so the cycle repeats. Fear leads to clinging. Clinging leads to distance. Distance intensifies fear. But here's the deeper truth. None of this is your fault. The anxious attachment style is not a sign of weakness or failure. It is evidence of your capacity for love, your longing for connection, your sensitivity to human bonds. These are not flaws. They are qualities that, when balanced, become profound strengths. Research shows attachment patterns can change, especially through relationships that are consistent, safe, and nurturing. When an anxiously attached person experiences love that does not vanish in conflict, that does not withdraw in silence, the nervous system gradually learns a new lesson. Love can be stable. It can be trusted. It can endure. Therapy, supportive friendships, and secure partners all play a role. So does self-work. Learning to self-soothe, to regulate your emotions, to offer yourself the reassurance you once sought externally, this creates transformation. But before healing can fully begin, there's something important to acknowledge, even grieve. For many with anxious attachment, there is an unspoken sadness for the childhood moments when love felt uncertain. To acknowledge this is painful, but liberating. You may need to sit with the reality that your younger self did not always receive the steady comfort they needed. That pain is real, but it is not permanent. And it does not define the love you are worthy of. The fact you're engaging with this is proof of your courage. You're willing to look inward, to question the patterns that have silently ruled your life. That willingness is the doorway to change, because awareness is the first crack in the cycle. When you can say, this panic I feel when someone pulls away, this is my anxious attachment speaking, not reality itself, you are already one step freer. So, how do we move from anxious towards secure? First, recognize the patterns in real time. When that wave of panic hits because someone hasn't responded, pause. Remind yourself, this is my attachment system. It is not objective reality. Silence does not mean rejection. Naming it creates distance. You are not the panic. You are the awareness observing the panic. That distinction is powerful. Another step is learning self-soothing techniques. Deep, regulated breathing, journaling, grounding exercises, feeling your feet on the floor, noticing sensations in your body, these can bring you back to the present. When you reassure yourself, you teach your brain that safety is available within, not only from outside. There's another dimension, the relationship you have with yourself. Many anxiously attached individuals externalize their worth. They believe they are lovable only when someone else validates them. The deeper work is to internalize that worth, to affirm, not just intellectually, but viscerally, I am worthy of love simply because I exist. For someone who's spent decades fearing abandonment, this is revolutionary. Think of it as reparenting. If your younger self didn't always feel safe, you can now become the consistent, caring presence you needed. You can tell yourself, I'm not going anywhere. You are safe. You are enough. Over time, these messages rewire your internal landscape. They become the new background music, replacing the anxious song of what if they leave. What's remarkable is that many with anxious attachment possess extraordinary gifts. Their sensitivity makes them deeply empathetic. They notice emotional shifts others miss. They are capable of profound, intense love. The work is not to suppress these qualities, but to anchor them in security. Ultimately, the path out of anxious attachment is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more yourself. Beneath the anxiety and fear, there is a self that is steady, grounded, loving, and whole. That self has always been there, waiting to be uncovered. And when you find it, something beautiful happens. Relationships become less about clinging and more about sharing. Love becomes less about desperation and more about celebration. You stop asking, will they stay? And start living in the truth of, even if they go, I will be okay, because I remain. That realization doesn't make you detached, it makes you free. And in that freedom, your capacity to love expands. So if you see yourself in these words, take heart. You are not broken. You are carrying the imprint of your earliest experiences. And those imprints can change. With awareness, compassion, and practice, you can teach your nervous system new truths. You can transform anxious attachments into secure connection. And in doing so, you don't just heal yourself. You change how you move through the world. Your presence itself becomes healing, not just for you, but for everyone you encounter. You are worthy of love, not because of what you do, or how perfectly you perform, or how tightly you hold on, but because of who you are. That worth has always been there. And as you heal, as you learn to quiet the anxious voice, that truth becomes clearer every single day.